Peace, family. This is your brother, Bro.Dahsara, and I'm back in here with another video. Today's video is an important video, and before I get started with this video, I just want to say one thing about myself. A lot of people don't know me, but just for the record, I just want to put this out there. I'm not a Christian. I don't subscribe to Christianity, and I don't believe in the Bible. But I will say this: a lot of the lessons, the parables, and the moral stories in the Bible are applicable to us as black people. Like, definitely applicable to us as black people. And we can use some. As a matter of fact, those lessons in the Bible about how to live life, love, and all this type of stuff, all of those lessons in the Bible and the parables and the stories actually came from the walls and the temples in Egypt. So a lot of those stories you see in the Bible, they've been translated for the Bible, but a lot of those stories in the Bible, if not all of them, you can read directly from the reliefs on the walls in the temples and the pyramids in Egypt. So those are our stories anyway. Those lessons are for us anyway. We don't have to subscribe to Christianity or believe in the Bible or be a Christian or any other religion for that matter to take those lessons and govern our lives with them. So I just want to say that up front. But I want to do this video, and let me get into it this way. Now, I'm subscribed to all black YouTubers, and a few weeks ago, I forgot which black YouTuber I was checking out their channel, listening to a video, and I posted a comment. And in that comment, I tried to find it so I can read it verbatim, what I said in the comment that somebody replied back to me directly, but I couldn't find it. But I made a comment talking on a black YouTuber's channel, talking to all black people. You know how we show love in there, we comment on white supremacy and the crap that's going on in society, how we do that. So I made a comment, but in that comment I said that black people are God's chosen people, and we are the first people, and we're God's children. So when I said that, one of these white supremacists got triggered. One of these trolls that was in on the channel that shouldn't have been in there, like I'm saying, what they were the troll, so they shouldn't have been in there anyway, but they were trolling. But they replied to my comment and saying that black people are God's children, we're the children. They replied to me directly for that, and I'm paraphrasing, but they said something along the lines of, why do we always say that? Why do I have to say that black people are God's children? Why do I have to say black people are? Why do I have to put black in it? And they went on to say that we're all God's children. And I replied back to this person. I said, that's a lie. We are not all God's children. And I said, that's a misconception, and that's dangerous for black people to have that philosophy, and it's been proven. And he replied back to me, he or she replied back to me, and they said, well, if you're gonna make a statement like that, prove it. So I went on to say, okay, let me put it to you this way. I asked him a question. I said, why would God, in all of his omnipotence and all of his power and glory and intelligence, why would he create a people that burn and die from the very thing that gives everything else on the planet life? So I put that out there, and he didn't reply to that. So since then, it was put on my mind to make a video regarding who Satan, the devil, the adversary, Beelzebub, whoever you want to call him. It's been on my mind since to make a video about who his children, who the devil's children really are. So this video is a video explaining and proving who and identifying, let me say that, who the devil's children are on this planet. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be quoting a lot of Bible scriptures. Because white people, even the Klan, they'll tell you that they're good Christians. So I want to prove to them who they are from their good book. Like I said in the beginning, I don't subscribe to the Bible. I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in Christianity. But as I stated, I want to prove to them who they are using the book that they believe. So let's go into it. Now, Matthew 7:16 says, "By their fruit you will recognize them. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles?" Now, all the names you see on this tree are the names of serial killers and mass murderers. Every last one of them. And if you Google their names individually and look at what they did some crazy, unspeakable crap, yo. These people, it's something wrong with these people, but we know that. But the sad thing is, I could have put together a whole forest of these trees and put the names of these Caucasoids on it just like this, and you would have seen thousands of these Caucasoids and how many people they killed and how they killed them. So these people, they evil by nature, people, family. It's sometimes I don't even have the words to describe these people, yo, but they're evil by nature. Now, a Christian would be the first one to come out of his mouth and tell you that we're all God's children. But my argument is that we're not. Just like I told the troll, we're not all God's children. Now, the devil has many names, like the adversary, Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan. But for the sake of this video, for the sake of this part in the story, the video, we're gonna use Lucifer. And before we find out who his children are, let's find out a little bit more about Lucifer. And it says, to find the origin of Lucifer, we turn to the Old Testament. In the Hebrew, the name Lucifer is translated from the Hebrew word Hallel, which means brightness or light bearer. This designation referring to Lucifer is the rendering of the morning star or star of the morning or bright star, which is presented in Isaiah. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly on the heights of Zephon. I will ascend to the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Now, family, who has that mentality on planet Earth? Who thinks like that on planet Earth? Who talks like that on planet Earth? You know what I mean? Who funds space programs to shoot up into the heavens, searching for God, talking about they searching for intelligent life or other life? Who does that? Who's arrogant enough to make those statements on this planet? It's self-explanatory. I don't even have to say it. We all know who that is. But let's move on. Now, from all of those titles that's attributed to Lucifer, I want to focus on light bearer. Now, let's break that down real fast. And for the sake of this video, I want to go all the way down to where it says the adjective of light. Now, it says having a considerable or sufficient amount of natural light, not dark. And then you go down to number 2, it says of a color pale. Now, let's move on to bearer. It says a person or thing that carries or holds something. So from the 2, you can conclude that Lucifer or light bearer can be translated to mean that it's a person or thing carrying a pale color, not dark. So right there you got Caucasoids, you got white people. They're the only pale people on the planet. Even our Native American brothers called them pale face a long time ago. So that's established that light bearer or Lucifer can translate to a person carrying a pale color or of a pale complexion. Let's move on. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, but let's find a little bit more about the devil, Lucifer, whoever you want to call him. Let's find a little bit more about him so we can get a better idea of who his children are. And it says, according to this article, it's 5 of the many characteristics of the devil, but I guess this is what they consider the 5 main characteristics of the devil. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it. I'm just going to read the 5 characteristics. Now, number 1, it says the devil is a deceiver. Number 2, the devil is a tempter. Number 3, the devil is a thief. Number 4, the devil is a murderer. Number 5, the devil is a distorter. Now, based off those characteristics, I know it's going to be some people that can, yo, Brotha.Dahsara, I know some people like that. It ain't just white people. Think again, because I'm talking about a group or network of people that's been doing or that's been displaying these characteristics and doing these things for thousands of years on a national or a global level. Now, with that being said, I'm gauging Satan's children, the devil's children. I'm gauging them on a national, global level. I'm not talking about individually. I'm talking about globally. People that do these type of things globally, and they always have been doing it, and no matter what, they'll keep doing it. No matter what you do, they keep doing these things. I'm talking about that. I'm not talking about a few scattered people doing these things. Like, of course, black people murder people, but we don't murder people on a national or global scale. Of course, there have been black people that have stolen things, but not on a global, national scale. Of course, there are black people that have deceived people, but not for thousands of years on a global or national scale. So with that, for the sake of this video, that's how we're going to gauge it. That's the scale I'm going by. So let's move on. Now, let's read one more thing about Satan or the devil, Lucifer. Let's read one more thing about the father of the children I'm trying to describe in this video. That'll give you a better description or a better understanding of who this person is, and then we'll understand better who his children are. So it says Satan, also called the adversary or the devil, is the enemy of all righteousness and of those who seek to follow God. He is a spirit, son of God, who was once an angel in authority in the presence of God. But in the premortal council in heaven, Lucifer, as Satan, was then called, rebelled against God. Since that time, he has sought to destroy the children of God on the earth and make them miserable. Damn it, who is that, people? Family, who we talking about? It can't get it's not going to get any clearer than this. So again, we have to stop saying that we're all God's children, because we're not. Satan, the devil, Lucifer, the adversary, has children too, and we have to identify them and act accordingly. Let's move on. Now, so far we learned that Satan is pale, so his children got to be pale. Satan is a murderer, a liar, a deceiver, and all this stuff, so his children got to be that too. Then we learned that his mission is to go be an adversary to the righteous and make God's people miserable. We know who's been doing that on this planet so far. We know the perpetrators and we know the victims. So let's move on and let's go into the 10 Commandments and how they destroy those on a national or a global scale. Now, let's deal with the first commandment and see how they broke that on a national and a global scale. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Now, who worships money more than white people? More than Caucasoids? They will kill for money. They will destroy you for money. They will go against who they claim to be God for money. They invented money. They print money. And even in the good book, it says money, the love of money is the root of all evil. They are the root of all evil because they love money. They'll do anything. They'll kill nations just to accumulate more money. So that's established. Let's move on. The second one is, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Now, this is self-explanatory. Look at it, read it. It's one is a landmark and one is used to subjugate people. So it is what it is. This is self-explanatory. Let's move on. The third one is, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Now, we just established that money is the root of all evil. But what does it say on the back of money? In God we trust. It's a contradiction. It don't even fit. It shouldn't. Those two shouldn't even occupy. They can't occupy the same space. Then you got them swearing on the Bible for public office. Politicians are the most crooked people on the planet, but they'll put their hand on that Bible, on God's book, God's word, and lie in office and deceive people and murder people and all this type of stuff. And they'll do the same thing in court. They put their hand on the Bible. I do swear to tell the truth, nothing but so help me God. Knowing that they're lying, they're putting their hand on the Bible again. Again, they're taking God's name in vain on a national and a global scale that has the implications of how they lie on the Bible as far as politicians and court and money is national and is global. Let's move on. Now the next one says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now I'm not going to read this whole article. I'm just going to read the top just to make my point and move on to the next one. But it says, God commanded that the seventh day be observed as the Sabbath. And we all know that Sunday is recognized as the day of worship in this society. Again, Caucasoids, white people, they created, altered, and changed the calendar. Everything is run according to them. They run society, so they add days and subtract days and do all this. So they said they made Sunday the seventh day, when according to this article, it's really the first day, and Saturday is the seventh. So once again, deception on a national, global scale regarding the Sabbath day and keeping it holy. Let's move on. Now the next one is, honor thy father and thy mother. Now you can do a little bit more research on this. I just put this together real quick for the sake of this video and time. But it says, in ancient Greece and Rome, elderly people who required care had to rely on their children or extended family. In ancient Greece, Athenian law required that children care for their aging parents, and the punishment was loss of citizenship, the second most severe punishment for Athenians besides execution. Senior care was ultimately responsible of the elder's family, and the arrangements did not change much for 2,000 years. So just that alone, they had to make a law to make people to take care of their parents, the elderly. They had to make a law and threaten them with punishment and just to take care of their elderly. So that's not honoring our mother and father. Let's go to the next one. The 1800s saw major changes for both humanity and seniors specifically. In Europe and North America, governments came to realize they had some sort of obligation to ensure that indigent seniors at least had somewhere to live and something to eat. Workhouses and poorhouses were built for seniors with no means and no family to take them in. While they were intended to be charitable, these so-called workhouses or poorhouses were rather awful places to live. The seniors who resided in them were referred to as inmates. They were segregated by sex, forced to wear uniforms, and if feasible, required to participate in work to upkeep the property. These poorhouses also often house orphans, disabled people, mentally ill people, and alcoholics. In History of Long-Term Care, Karen Stevenson writes that conditions range from barely tolerable to horrific. In 1901, an astounding 10% of elderly Englishmen lived in workhouses. That's self-explanatory. Again, one of the commandments say, honor thy mother and thy father. That don't sound like they honored their mother and father. It sounds like they threw them away to me. Let's go to the next one. And back one more thing about that. It says ancient Greece and Rome, and then it says Europe, North America, and then it says anyway, those are European societies and establishments, and Europeans, Caucasoids, were in charge of those establishments, city, states, whatever. So again, they threw their elderly away. Let's move on. Now this next one is a doozy. Thou shalt not kill or murder. Now, if you don't know what that is, these two Caucasoids are standing on top of and posing in front of, those are the skulls of the buffalo that they killed to starve out the Native Americans because they couldn't defeat them in a straight up battle. So they starved them. They starved them so that they were weak, and then they defeated. That's one of the ways how they defeated them. But if that's unbelievable, man. They murdered that many buffalo. That's the skull. Those are the skulls. Man, you gotta fathom that, man. Y'all gotta look at that. Those are the skulls of the buffalo that they killed. And that's not the only thing they killed. That's just one of the many things that they brought to extinction or killed on this planet. Now, another murder and death spree that they went on is our ancestors, our people that died just during coming through the Middle Passage alone. It says 10 to 16 million Africans forcibly transported across the Atlantic from 1500 to 1900. And it says as such, 2 million died during the Middle Passage, 10 to 15%. Another 15 to 30% died during the march to the coast. And it says for every 100 slaves that reached the New World, another 40 died in Africa or during the Middle Passage. Now, again, it's self-explanatory. The murderous rampage on a global or national scale. Now, next we have good old-fashioned white-on-white crime, Caucasoid-on-Caucasoid death and murder. And as you can see, it says World War I casualties, and it breaks it down by country. I'm not going through these, but look at the numbers. People, family, look at the numbers. Again, thou shalt not kill. Just this sheet alone, not to mention the two previous presentations I just showed you, but just this one alone is in the millions. So again, thou shalt not kill. All right. Now, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, to prove how Satan's children, how the devil's kids shattered this commandment on a national and or global level, we need go no further than slavery. Now, as it says in this article, it says master-slave relations. Slave women were forced to comply with sexual advances by their masters on a very regular basis. Consequences of resistance often came in the form of physical beatings. Thus, an enormous number of slaves became concubines for these men. Most often, the masters were already bound in matrimony, which means they were already married, committing adultery with these slave women, which caused tension and hatred between the slave and the mistress of the house. Many mulatto or racially mixed children also resulted from these relations because the status of the child followed that of his or her mother. The child of a white man would not be freed based on patriarchal genealogy. These children also became a sore reminder of the mistress of her husband's infidelity. Then it goes on to just say mulatto is a term used to refer to persons born of one white parent and one black parent, or the persons born of a mulatto parent or parents. In English, this term is today generally confined to historical context. Now, that again, thou shalt not commit adultery. They did it on a national and or a global level by raping the slave women or the slave girls when these Caucasoids already had a wife. Let's move on to the next one. Thou shalt not steal. Now, a picture says 1,000 words and it's self-explanatory. I mean, they stole everything they had. But I condensed it for this video, for the purpose of this video, down to 3 of the biggest things they stole. Well, really 4. And 1, they stole North America, they stole Australia, and they stole Africa. Not only did they steal Africa, but they stole the people. So, as far as theft and thou shalt not steal, like I said, nationally or globally, they do it big when they shatter these commandments. Satan's children, they do it big. Let's go to the next one. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. That means you shouldn't lie on or about your neighbor. Now, here is an illustration of all of the things that they've said globally about black people alone to make other ethnic groups and to justify why they mistreat us and why they own slaves, why they had slaves. These are some of the things they said to justify it on a national or a global level. They said we were monkeys. They said we were shiftless. They said we were savages. They said we were lazy. They said we were thieves. They said we didn't feel pain, so that justified them beating the hell out of us. They said we were cannibals. They said we were rapists. And they said our black skin was a curse by God. But the one I wanted to focus on a little bit is it says drapetomania. Now, this was a disease that they published in their journals. And they said that black people, the slaves, we had a disease that made us want to run away from getting brutalized and beat and mistreated at the hands of them. I want y'all to understand that because we wanted to get away from their brutality, they said we had a disease called drapetomania. Now, to add insult to injury, another way they bore false witness on us, God's children, is this brother right here on the screen. His name is Imhotep. There you see, this was a real person. This was a real man living in Africa and Egypt. He was born 27th century BCE in Memphis, Egypt. He was a vizier, a sage, an architect, astrologer, and the chief minister to King Zoser, who reigned in the year 2630 through 2611 BCE, the second king of Egypt's third dynasty. He was also later worshipped as the god of medicine in Egypt and in Greece. He is considered to have been the architect of the step pyramid built at the necropolis of Saqqara in the city of Memphis. Now, they talking about this brother Imhotep. Multi-genius, astrologer, you see all that right there. Peaceful brother. One of his titles was the Prince of Peace, which it might sound familiar because that's what they attributed to Jesus, but we're not going to go there right now. But they talking about this brother. Now, let me show you how they did our beloved ancestor dirty. Now, let's see how they did our beloved ancestor dirty, our beloved brother Imhotep. Let's see how they did him dirty. Now, this is scenes from the movie The Mummy. Now, in the movie The Mummy that came out in 1999, this guy, white dude, Arnold Vosloo, he played Imhotep in that movie, and he was the main antagonist in that movie, which means he was the evil guy, he was the bad guy in that movie. And you can read the script called for him, Imhotep, being the high priest, and he was having an affair with the pharaoh's wife. And when the pharaoh discovered it, she committed suicide, intending that Imhotep would resurrect her, bring her back to life. He and the priest later steal her corpse from the burial place. Imhotep attempts to resurrect Ankh-Su-Namun, but is captured at Hamunaptra, the city of the dead, by the Magi, which are the Pharaoh's sacred bodyguard. His priests are mummified and buried alive. Imhotep, meanwhile, is condemned to endure the curse of the Hamdai. The ritual involves cutting out his tongue, mummifying him alive, and sealing him in a sarcophagus filled with carnivorous scarab beetles. The curse transformed Imhotep into an undead fiend kept in a state of living death. If revived, he would gain control over sand and other elements. And it said his powers, once revived, his powers would include regeneration, invulnerability, and the ability to turn himself into sand and control the desert sands. He could also wield the 10 plagues of Egypt to an unspecified degree. He could turn water to blood, unleash swarms of locusts, and control the people of the city by inflicting them with boils and swords. You see how they bore false witness on our beloved brother Imhotep, and they put this in a movie that was seen worldwide. Again, they do things on a national and global scale. What they do it big. So I don't want to hear, well, there's a lot of evil people on the planet. You're right, but not to that degree, and not a whole race of people, not a whole system of people. Let's move on to the next one. Last but not least, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods, house or fields, nor his male or female slave, nor his ox or ass, or anything that belongs to him. Now, we know these devils want the planet. They want everything you own. They want what you create. They want to rule the planet. And for that matter, they want to rule this galaxy. Like it said earlier, they want to set their nest on high. They want to set themselves above everybody. They want to be God. They want to be gods on earth and gods throughout the universe. So, and covet means to want. They want everything. That's why you see this illustration right here. And with they got their sights set on the earth from space with their satellites and their space stations and their rockets. So, like I said, now in this one, they're actually shattering this commandment on the intergalactic scale. They talking about space. Again, they want the whole planet. They want to covet the whole planet. They want to covet the people in it and everything the people own. And lastly, before I get out of here, I want to say this directly to the Caucasoid, because the cat is out the bag and we know who you are. We've known it for a while. A lot of us are just in denial. But I want to say, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. I just described the people we encounter on this planet every day, and I just described to you or explained to you who their father was, since you got Christians want to say we're all God's children. No, we're not, and you do yourself a grave injustice by lumping yourself in with Satan's children. And if you still don't believe, think of it this way. They control the planet right now. They're in power. The land is poisoned. The water is poisoned. The air is poisoned. The water is poisoned. They're torturing God's children, us, black people. They're torturing us every day. They have been for the past, few hundred years, if not thousands of years. But they're not stopping. It's not in them to stop. And we keep begging these things for justice. They don't know what justice is to give to us. While we keep begging these demons for justice, they don't know what it is. The only thing they can give us is death and confusion and chaos. That's the only thing they can give us, and they're giving that to us hand over fist. If we don't get away from these people, stop the interracial marriages, segregation is a joke. If we don't get away from these people, we're going to share their fate. And you see what's happening to them. Our Father, the Most High, God, whoever you believe him or her to be, his judgment is upon them. It's nothing they can do about it. All they can do is lash out at us more because they know we're his children, and they know deep down who's doing this to them. They know God's judgment is on them, but they can't beat God. They can't reach God. So the next best thing to do is to make his children suffer, which is us. That's why we suffering down here on this planet. And if we don't get away from these people, we done. And if we want to join these people in their madness, then those of us that want to do that deserve the same fate and the same judgment that's raining down upon them right now. So with that being said, stop saying we're all God's children, because we're not. Peace.